said that he was born with a medical condition that caused his thing, whatever, not to work. And so at some point he has gotten a procedure to make it work. Okay. Now, what he didn't like is the fact that he shared that with Shannon, and he feels as if Shannon told not only Mercedes, who mentioned it on the reunion without saying his name, but also that she told the entire cast that he had a mechanical whatever. I personally, and I know El Cid actually offered for him to come on. I would love for for him to come on El Cid's platform, since he decided to volunteer his mechanical status, that, you know, things that we didn't know, actually that wasn't out, and just to share more about that, because I think there may be some misunderstandings about just what he can and cannot do, and, you know, what type of illness that he was born with and how it's affected him mentally and how he overcame. I think that'll be a really, really good conversation. I really do hope he does that, because I have a lot of questions that I won't ask on this platform, but him volunteering that medical status actually opens up more questions than we have answers. But basically, more or less, please check out the whole entire live. But he's very upset with Mercedes and Shannon for using his mechanical status against him. And he also wanted to clarify that although he's not shaming Shannon, he believed that she kind of exhibited 304 tendencies. And that is the reason why he just really couldn't, you know, see her as a wife. But you guys should look at that. There's been conflicting responses about that, you know, what the conversation actually was. Yeah.
I did invite him onto my platform to actually talk about what this was, because again, I think we need to have a mature conversation. A lot of people, a percentage of our population is, born with something or have issues of some kind. Okay. So I wanted to have, and he is invited on my platform to talk about exactly that. And, basically what he's willing to share, what he's willing to talk about. I want to have a mature conversation, because again, this too, for us ladies or other ladies who are in the dating world, you have no idea if you may encounter a gentleman who may have a similar situation. So we need to have at this point, some kind of compassion and understanding. And I really do want to understand. He said that in there about his ex and his life, with, his mechanical situation. But again, he really went in on Shannon and Mercedes for bringing it up. And they say that's why the show didn't put a lot of it out there, is what he's saying. He said that only what Mercedes was listing, like she had to deal with baby mama, she had to deal with mechanical, and that's as much as the show allowed for it to be aired. So, yes, there's an invitation for Devon to certainly come on my platform. That video is there. It is less than 10 minutes long. Okay.
But unfortunately, I think Lauren maybe hinted to this, when you share something so personal with one or two people, you do have to be okay with it being out. That has to be something that you have peace with on the inside. And it does seem like he's found some level of peace with it, because he's sharing it with the public, right? His mechanical status. But if you share that with people, that is somewhat relevant. No, it's beyond ED, y'all. It's beyond ED. He has a mechanical. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. It's beyond ED.
Can you stop saying mechanical, please?
How else
you are kicking me out? Thank you, Latricia. It's an implant, please. He has a mechanical. You are a whole attorney. I need you to knock it off.
It's because he said mechanical in the video. He said mechanical.
I'm sorry, because this is not funny. But
he said it, Sean.
Oh my gosh. He has an implant. Okay, I'll stop saying mechanical, but he said mechanical. Oh my God, I'm crying. Sean, you're making it worse.
I'm sorry. I just couldn't, because I was trying. I'm trying to moderate to the best of my ability, but I'm hanging on by a thread
Now
here.
here's it, Deacon. Here is it, and I will say this because the gentleman on the panel again, you know, gentlemen, y'all can't be afraid to have these kind of conversations amongst yourselves. Again, I mean it can't. This ain't middle school. This is grown folks. But your conversation about stuff.
A lot of women may not care if you have the implant and it works. You know what I'm saying? If you have an implant and it works, and you got your money, you got your this and that, you're still a good man. There's plenty of women who would be a-okay with that, long as that it works. I mean, I just think you just gotta. You seem like you did what you had to do to address the situation, and so I definitely feel like it's something that you just gonna have to come to terms with and just be honest with it, and go from there. But it seems like honestly, his bigger issues are far beyond the implant mechanical device of it all. It seems like he got a lot more going on per Nicole, and just being in tune with his star player. And that seems to go beyond whatever he got going on as far as the surgery of it all, implants of it all. So,
JR, I am completely
please.
surprised at you, because usually you're going to stand in allegiance with the fellas. Now, you clowning and talking about something being charged is not, that's very unexpected,
But that's the thing. We don't
we're
know
not
what needs to be
ableist over
charged.
here.
We don't know if it needs to be charged or not. That's the thing. There's questions. People don't know.
There is nothing that needs to be charged that's inside of your body. Oh, we're going to put a pin in this conversation because we have a special guest. So I'm going to turn it to the original owner of the channel. Back to you, Kojo.
Damn, you didn't have to. You could have done your job. Yeah, I know you got it. But listen, welcome, guys. We got a special person to come on the panel. Last week we had Lauren and Ashanti's come up, answer some questions. Because this season I'm not doing interviews really per se. So because of the workload and stuff I'm doing behind the scenes. So I decided to get one of the people to come up on here and answer some questions because, of course, we watched a reunion. And the reunion left us with more questions than it did really answer some things. So I've also got the panelists here, and I know they've got questions to ask as well. So for those of you in the audience, welcome. This part of the live, I hope you're ready because it's about to go to members only. Yeah, because a special aspect, I've got a special person coming here, and I have to make this a bit more special for those of us who have stayed with the channel and appreciate the content we've made. So I'm gonna bring up Belo up to the stage. Okay, you know him from Ready to Love. He was with Dominique, and we're gonna bring him onto the stage just to answer some questions for us. Master Belo.
How you doing?
How you doing, sir? How you doing?
Excellent. I do.
You do.
How you doing?
I'm there. I'm in value.
Yeah.
You know me. Holiday's got to be done.
Yes.
It's good having you on here, Belo, man. Listen, look. Usually we do interviews every season, but this season we didn't do any interviews. So we got people who can just come on the panel so they can answer a few questions because the audience want to know some key things as to what happened on the show. And of course, you're one of the most instrumental people on this particular season. You had a love affair with Dominique, which you guys went to the end. You chose each other, but after the show, things went a little bit sour. So I'm going to ask my first question, but of course, I will step back. The panelists will have their own questions they probably want to ask you as well. Keep it cute and classy as we always do. But I want to know, and I think everybody wants to know straight off the bat. Mm-hmm. Sir, what the frick happened? Because you were all in with Dominique. And you see me, I like dark arts. Okay, the panelists know I like dark arts. I understand dark arts. This felt like a dark arts movement. Let me explain what dark arts is. It can be manipulation. It can be used. It's mainly manipulation, but sometimes you can use different weapons to manipulate, right? Sometimes you can use the truth. Sometimes you can use weaponized incompetence. Sometimes we can use using the gray area, etc., etc., etc. when it comes to these particular things. And with the Dominique situation, it did feel like, and that's our perspective, doesn't mean that's the truth, you're going to clear it up for us. It did feel a little bit like dark arts, you not suddenly knowing that Christmas is an important day. Now, I know you're Muslim, but brother, Christmas is Christmas. It's a very powerful day for most people. So breaking up with somebody or them finding out information on Christmas Day feels a little bit diabolical, feels a little bit dark artsy. You know what I mean? Like, in that essence. So I guess my question to round up is, Master Belo, what actually happened between you and Dominique that you got to a point where you said to yourself, this is not going to work? I know the $600 dinner was there. Expand on all those things so we understand fully your perspective, because right now it's not looking good. But I want you to clear it up.
You know what? There's a lot of things. And one of the things that I've done is I've tried really hard to try and protect her brand, her character, and I didn't want to say anything that would diminish her, because what we had was real. And I got nothing but love for her, and I didn't want the narrative of our experience on the show to be based on shortcomings, right? And I stand by that. And although it is very, 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 very tempting to just like spill the tea and just blast her, that's not really my character, to be honest. It's not really. But to clear things, I would say that the major thing, like the fact when we talk about religion, yes, I knew that she's Christian and I'm Muslim, right? But I didn't know that her father would have a beef with me, and he would articulate that beef on camera at the outing. I actually met her father off camera, and I think the reason why he had an issue with me being Muslim is because we spoke at length. Keep in mind, long story short, my father's an imam. I grew up. I went to Arabic school. What are you doing? Okay, anyways, yeah. So I went to Arabic school. I can speak, read, and write in Arabic. And I also I'm very well versed in the Bible. So when I met her father, him being a pastor, we talked in length about Genesis. We talked in length about Christianity, and we just spoke scripture. And we were just talking because I had questions, because somebody from the outside looking in, you're gonna seek to elaborate. So when the father first met me, he was like, "Oh wow, this brother's very learned and whatnot." Later, when Dominique told him that I was Christian, that I was Muslim, he was like, "Oh, hold up, we just had all this conversation and he's Muslim." You see what I'm saying? And then when he came, he's like, "I have a problem with him being Muslim." So from the onset, when I first met Dominique and we first started chopping it up and getting to know each other, everything was smooth. I met family members, everything was smooth. But when she articulated that I was Muslim to her father, he had a bone with that, and I wouldn't know. Our first interactions were smooth. So now that I know that the father is not in support, that's a factor. It wasn't a factor initially. So a lot of people are coming at me saying, "Oh, you knew this. I knew that we accepted each other's religions, right? And we were willing to move through that. I said that I wanted my child to practice Islam, and I wanted her to be respectful of my religion. She was cool with that. But when Pop says, "I don't support this relationship," that's a different thing. And that's something I didn't know with our conversations that we had together. That's one thing. And in terms of the childbearing, all of that stuff, though, I don't know. Like we had a recap on T&D, and she was very, very vocal about, I can have children. You're not God. You can't tell me where I can have children. For me, it's like, if you haven't had children in 25 years and you've had 2 miscarriages and you're fearful, and immediately when I say I want to have children, you tell me that, hey, I don't want to do that. I'd rather have a surrogate. That's not lending the idea that I can bear children. I want to bear children. Having an intent and wanting to do something is different than the ability to do it. And that, I don't want to, I don't know, like, I don't want to build something on, like, begrudgingly or on shaky footing, right? So these are some things. And to be honest, I think that the biggest clash between me and her is culture. Like, I gotta be honest with you, they're like, where her, the people she surrounds herself with, the way they engage, the things she says about people around her are not in alignment with my values. You know what I mean? So I think that the clash is more culture than anything. And religion feeds into culture, right? Child rearing feeds into the family unit, right? And again, like I said earlier, I said that when you're enthralled in a person, you're focused on that person. But when you get time to step back, you discuss with family, and you chop it up with friends, and you get to look at a whole rounded perspective. There's nothing wrong with having a change of heart. And I feel like in 6 weeks, I don't think that's long enough to make a life decision.
Okay, I hear that. In addition to that, of course, you addressed it in the reunion, the financial aspect.
Yes.
Let me give this aspect for, I guess, those of us who are watching. The consensus that might have been, not going to say might, the consensus that was kind of felt outside of the show, us watching as audiences, it's giving scammer. I'm kind of like you, okay? That's the consensus we kind of had. Not everybody, but we had a little bit of a consensus outside that is giving kind of scammer, right? Because obviously we're asking for loan from a brother. Usually when the finances aren't too tight, something usually happens like this. And of course, the dinners are a little bit excessive, but something happens that kind of tells us the money might not be right. So it's looking like scammer. I'm asking the question though, and a scammer's never going to tell us they're a scammer. So I'm not asking you to say you're not a scammer. What I'm saying to you is though, explain why that became an issue. And because I guess obviously for a lot of people, this financial aspect could be something that they're looking at and going, well, Belo, it doesn't look like you really had your money in order in this particular case. So give us a bit more understanding around the financial aspect, how you and Dominique discussed what finances were looking like. Because, brother, you were also doing some things like, you know what, I can find a building for you. It's giving you got money, bro. So when it doesn't get backed up, it looks a little bit like it's giving scammer. So I want you to be able to break that down for us so we understand.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. So number one being that one of the things that happened on T&D was Ina asked Dominique, like, yo, do you feel like you owe Belo an apology? And I know for the women, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? And the reason is because I protected her brand. I chose not to speak ill of her or say anything that is to say anything that's not positive. And at the reunion, she sat next to me shaking. I held her hand and she said, I feel anxious. I almost threw up. I haven't seen you in a year and I am like, I almost wanted to go home. I said, I'm here. I'm with you. Don't worry. I held her hand and I'm like, yo, we're almost done. Let's just get through this. So I was consoling her. And she's like, promise me you're not going to say anything negative about me. And I'm like, I got you. I'm not going to say nothing. And then she blasted me. and the thing that I find is very interesting is the fact that, number one, you can Google me. I was number one in commercial sales for Realty Point Brokerage, number one 3 years in a row, top 3 highest commissions earned for Realty Point, I also, at the time of the show, I was building 55 condo units in Windsor. If you type in the city of Windsor, Belo, Southwood Lakes, you can do that. You can pull it up. You can see I was building 55 condo units, self-funded by myself. $25 million development, which I put up and bought the land for $3 million with my own cash. One of 2 developments I was working on. Also, I was building Southwood Lakes across the street, which is 33 detached homes. The homes were being sold at $1.6 million. I had a 10,000 square foot office that was an event hall and my real estate brokerage was upstairs. And I also had an investor suite. I was running all of those things while on the show. The thing that she misrepresented about my business was I was looking for a construction loan. I spoke to her in confidence, right? Every developer, everybody who's in real estate needs construction loans. If you type in Belo, City of Windsor developer, you'll see that I owned the 55 unit condo building and the 33 unit subdivision. I'm one of 8 developers, Black developers in Canada. I don't have to tout myself and what I do, but when my finances are held into question and somebody's calling me broke, and I'm doing my best to protect their character, I feel like I'm owed an apology. And I feel like when somebody says scammer, I literally for 6 years, 80% of my income I saved and I put toward my development. I lived on 20% of my income for over 5 years. Every single time I sold something, I reinvested and I flipped and I reinvested and reinvested. And that's what I do. I teach people generational wealth. If you type my name, Tosin Belo, Real Estate Awards, you'll see I am what I say I am. And with Dominique, what she misrepresented was she said, oh, my brother's worth 50 million. His clients do business in Brampton, which is only 30 minutes away from Toronto and 3 hours away from Windsor. She said they are always investing in real estate. I said, okay, I'm looking for a construction loan, a mortgage for me to be able to continue my project. Connect me with these investors. I sent her my deck. I sent her my site plan. I sent her my plan of condominium. I sent her my plan of subdivision. I sent her architectural drawings. I sent her my net worth statement. I sent all of these details. And she said, I'm going to connect you with my brother's investors. So it's not like I'm coming saying, hey, give me a loan to buy a car. I had 2 $25 million developments of which I could not self-fund. I brought it to a point where I had all the approvals. I already had shovels in ground. I had already paid a servicing contractor $2.7 million to do the servicing. I already had that. All of these things, I'm happy to share the links and the documents. I have receipts for everything I'm saying. So don't come at me about being broke. If I am looking for a construction loan for a development, that's not outside of the realm of real estate developer. That's just par for the course. And I feel like she out of embarrassment wanted to diminish my brand. And that is something that I feel like deserve an apology for, which is ironic because she did apologize to me in person, but she refused to apologize to me in public. And again, going back to culture, I feel that I'm happy I made the decision that I made because these are very telling characteristics. If you look at how I present myself, how I carry myself, how I interact with her, I haven't done anything that is in condescension. I haven't done anything that is attacking her, nothing. Even when I was attacked, I still maintained a respectful disposition and demeanor. Anyways, I don't want to feel like I'm on a rant, but I want to clear my name. And again, I will send you whatever documents you need as receipts so that you know that I am what I say I am. And when people talk about Nigerians, you got to be very careful because Nigerians represent 1/5 of the black population in the world. So if you use a black brush on a Nigerian, you're literally you're speaking ill of 20% of the black population worldwide. We have 240 million, right? And and that builds on the distrust we have within the community. And I really like the scammer word is like something that I loathe. I loathe because I work so hard to tread the right path, to do things properly. And when I get hit with that, it's a huge smack in the face. Huge smack in the face. And again, I have receipts for everything I'm saying.
I appreciate that. My final question before I pass it to the panelists, I just said it last time, but I have one more question that came in my head. I don't know if you want to clear it up, but of course, when you did break up with Dominique, the rumors are that Belo, you are married, and actually it's within close proximity of you and Dominique, which is giving people the kind of feeling that, again, that kind of links to the scammer. That's why people kind of link it with the scammer kind of thing. Like it almost felt like a ruse in essence, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're willing to clear that up, because again, if you know that's personal, but still, it's
That's you know what?
maybe you can give us a bit of a background understanding here. Are you married? And if you are married, what happened? How did we get to the stage of getting married when we were on the show? Like, is the time limit very close? Because it seems like it was very close. So maybe you can help us clear that up.
Okay, so first off, the show was shot in October of 2024. We're now in 2026. So between October of 2024 to February of 2026, I am currently married, happily married. And I'm happy I made the decision because my wife is somebody who has supported me throughout all of all of this, let's say, all of the reviews, the responses, all of that, right? She wears it with me. And in fact, something came up about my outfit. She told me to wear my my white embellished outfit. And going back to it, I broke up with Dominique. Late December of 2024, and my wife, I met her about 5 years ago, and she moved to London, okay, and she moved to London. We broke up. We kept in touch, but things were rocky. And when I went through the experience, I'm like, damn, if I'm dating 10 women and nothing panned out, and I have this girl who I've known who's rock with me, and she came back into town. She came back into Toronto. I was like, you know what? I don't know why I've been delaying this. Like, let's do this. I had the support of my family. My mother was very supportive and an advocate for our union. And when I think about it, there were cultural differences with myself and Dominique. I didn't feel like there was an acceptance from her family, whereas with my current wife, she our families were. She's Nigerian, she's Muslim, right? My mom embraced her, my father embraced her, her family embraced me, and we fell off for a minute and we rekindled, and that happens. People make decisions, people change direction in relationships, and I rekindled with my bestie.
Listen, I'm down for it. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, being married is a beautiful thing. So I'm always here for people who are going to get married and take that leap of faith, regardless of the faith or the religion that the person chooses. So marriage is a beautiful thing. Just to clear up though, in between that time, it might not have been on purpose, but you did tell us some information which is very important. You said obviously you broke up Dominique in 2024 in December. Obviously you are married, but you didn't actually give us a date that you and your ex kind of started talking again. So was there overlap Because I gotta ask that question because you didn't actually give us a name.
Okay, so
That's dark. Because for those, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's what we call dark arts around here. Where you get what your answer was kind of dark arts. It's like you didn't give me the specific, so it's like, but I heard it and I said there was no specific. So it was there overlap because yes, you're right. You broke up with Dominique in 2024, rightly so. But was the breakup due to the fact that there was still communications with the ex? Because she came back into your life and clearly you were still having communication. So is it because their ex was coming back into the situation? A brother's got to lie. I mean, you can plead the fifth if you want to. You never have to answer the question and answer it. But you want to plead the fifth, you can plead the fifth.
I think that there's a two-part. I think that's a two-part question, and I'm gonna answer one of the two parts. Number one, I wasn't married during the show, and I wasn't married while I was pursuing or courting Dominique. Full stop. Number two, with respect to my wife, was there overlap? Not really. There was overlap in, I would say there was overlap in the sense that it created urgency for me. Right? Like if things are rocky with a relationship that you're in and you're looking at an exit and you hear that somebody who you've rocked with, is coming into town, and like you hear they're coming into town and you're like, you know what? Let me give this a shot. Let me give this a shot. Let me go do a clean break. One of the things I said about Dominique is I said, the moment that I feel that I'm not fully in this, I want to separate. I'm going to release you. And that's what I did. I made a clean break with Dominique, and I engaged with my now wife. There wasn't overlap where I was talking to her, telling her something while I was talking to Dominique. That wasn't happening. It was more, things were rocking with me and Dominique. I didn't feel she supported me. I felt like she was very self-centered. I felt like there was a lot of cultural differences. I felt like we didn't align on a number of things. And I'm like, you know what? This is not it. This is not it. And with my now wife, when I heard that she was coming into town, and I heard that and when I heard that she was coming into town, and Dominique that was on the way out, I'm like, let me do a clean break and see what the future has with this.
Okay. I mean, so there was an overlap. Because you kind of said it without saying it. There's overlap.
Not dating.
There's no judgment from me. I'm saying to you that, listen, true love sometimes has I like to call it, sometimes God has a way of, using a mess to bring a message, as somebody would say. Like sometimes things happen where it's not the cleanest of beginnings. Like I'm not here to shoot down, bro, because I'll be honest with you, like I've lived life long enough to know that not everything has a perfect start. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
In that essence, right? So it is understandable that you could have somebody who you have a past relationship with who comes back in at a time where you're still maybe in your head you're exiting, but you haven't exited yet. Men and women do this. It's not just a man thing. Women do this. Sometimes there is
right.
You know what I mean? Right. It's not a beef. It's you know what I mean?
Right. And one of the things that you know what, I'm gonna share something that kind of let me know where her heart was at, where her mind was at. Okay. I've been in real estate for 12 years. All right. Yeah. I grew up, born and raised in Toronto. I moved to Windsor because my developments are in Windsor. I decided, okay, Windsor's 10 minutes away from Detroit. I'm going to expand internationally into Detroit. Okay. I opened up a brokerage in Detroit. I don't have the same foothold in Detroit as I do in Windsor and Toronto. Now with Dominique, I talked to Dominique and she's like, you know what? I really thought about real estate. I was like, oh, really? You thought about doing real estate? I'm like, okay, no problem. I got you. I'll pay for your license. Join my brokerage. You're well known in Detroit. Let's build together. She's like, all right, bet. I'm like, okay. I send her some bread for her first real estate exam. She spends the bread on rent. I'm like, okay.
Mm,
Right?
mm,
Okay.
mm,
She
mm.
spends the bread on rent. I'm like, okay. I don't say nothing.
Woo.
Now, fast forward.
Wait, before you fast forward, sorry, I just need to just make sure I heard what I heard.
Mm.
I need to. So you say that you gave her money for an exam,
Yes.
and the money was spent on rent.
Yes.
My God. Okay.
Okay. So
Jesus.
now I'm like, all right, cool. So now fast forward a couple weeks later, she tells me, and then I say to her, okay, you know what? Before you get your license, because it's going to take you some time to get your license, whatever. I'm like, let's promote together. And I'm like, I will cut my check with you. Whatever referrals that come in, I'm going to split my check with you so that, you know, you could build on it, because she's talking about finances. Just to give you context, I'm a real estate developer building 33 detached homes, 55 condo units. Dominique works at Mont Blanc in the mall, Somerset Mall. So when she's talking to me about me being broke and my finances on national television, being a real estate developer, building 88 units, myself, self-funded, and she's working retail at Mont Blanc. If you drive to Mont Blanc, Somerset, you'll see Dominique. So when she's talking, anyways, so long story short, when we're talking about marketing, co-branding for real estate, she's like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to wait till I get my license. I'm like, okay, bet, cool, no problem. Then fast forward, she said, guess what? I'm like, what's up? She's like, I paid for the exam. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. All right. So I'm excited. I'm like, okay, cool. Guess what she says? She tells me that I'm going to pursue my license and I'm going to choose which brokerage I want to be a part of. After I done sent the bread for her to start her license and to join my brokerage and to work with me. So if we're building a future together, that ain't it. And when and fast forward, when she's talking about her brother and all of this, it's funny because I've only met her brother once. I sent him my investment deck. That's it. This conversation that she's talking about with her brother was a 3-month conversation that didn't end up in any fruitful connection. Not even a response email. Like, I've only met her brother once. So when I'm thinking about building a life with somebody, these actions are not encouraging at all.
Mr. I hear you. I'm going to yield the floor to the rest of the panelists if they have questions. I'll probably come back around and again, but I think you've answered some things that have expanded our understanding of what's happened as to why the relationship has gone the way it's gone. You know what I'm saying, Chu? So I'm hearing you, bro. I'm hearing you loud and clear. And, you know, I can understand misappropriation of funds when you give it to somebody. I've witnessed it and been part of it, so I know how painful it is. It's actually quite scary for us as men specifically, because when you are looking to build with somebody and you're thinking about the future, you want to know that this is somebody who's going to steward the finances well, and, you know, put themselves in a great position and you in a great position, right, to benefit both of you. So when that does happen, I can see how that can be a disjointed viewpoint when you're looking at the future as to whether this person can really be someone who's going to be building with you or they're going to be using you. So I get
Exactly.
where you're coming from.
And I like the fact that you brought up that word about using. And for me, the part that I felt was very telling was, again, going to the real estate, wanting to build together, and then her deciding to go in a different direction. That's fine. Her saying, hey, I have a connection, and then not pursuing that connection that she's talking about. I'll talk. I'm like, okay, cool. And then at the same time, we're doing all these dates. We're doing, like, I'm spending. I have no problem with that. But I didn't feel support. And I wasn't asking for nothing, right? Like, if you are in a relationship with somebody and you guys are building something, it's nothing to promote your partner and what they're doing. Just to give context, we talked about her fly closet, how she wanted to basically take a whole bunch of like Louis V and all of these different brands and that she owned, and she wanted to lease them to people who couldn't afford to buy them. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, whatever. So I plugged that on the show. If you go back to the show, we talked in confidence, and I'm like, you know what? Let me promote and talk about what you're doing. I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of that level of endorsement or support from her. And going back to what you said earlier was, I checked out a while back, and I'm like, there was attraction, and there was attraction, and I just kept getting hit with flags, but I'm like, why am I in this? You know, so I made a clean cut, and it seemed like it was abrupt, but I checked out a while back. So
Makes sense. I don't know if any of the panelists want to ask a question. CEO wants to ask a question. Yep.
Hi, Belo. So the things that you said have been very revealing, especially the mall part. And you spoke about the scamming and not wanting to be labeled that way, which I understand who wants to be labeled that way. But I think it's a lot of people feel that way because we can't get straight answers. And maybe it's the attorney in me, but if I don't get a straight answer, it feels like you're hiding something. So, for example, a lot of people are still saying they feel like you had a girlfriend the whole time. You said you didn't, but that's what it appears. But we still don't have a date that you actually got married. A month even. Was it in the first half of 2025, the first quarter? Not revealing that seems like, did you get married on New Year's? Like, when did you get married? Because it feels as if you did have a girlfriend if you can't say that.
We parted ways. We parted ways again, and we rekindled. I'm not giving a date.
First half of 2025.
I'm not giving a date. I just for context, I've never used Bengay in my life. Just for context, and
I don't care about the Bengay. We're talking about the marriage.
I got you. But I'm just saying, I'm giving context.
Okay.
I've never used Bengay. Never even heard of Bengay. And if you see this. This is my beard.
I can care less
So I know. So what I'm saying is people will assume something, and they will create all different types of narratives. And right now, I'm not going to give a date because I don't want this to be dissected. I don't want this to be dissected. I don't want people to start searching pictures and searching this. Like, to be honest, it's been actually been very hurtful for my wife because of the OWN network. We're not supposed to disclose our relationship status until after the show airs. And
right, we're done now.
Exactly. I understand. So what I'm saying is, she couldn't post pictures.
Right.
So imagine all her wedding pictures are being posted by a whole lot of random people without her consent, and she hasn't even posted on her own IG. I haven't even posted. So now things grow legs. And again, like I said, I'm not getting into that.
Well, I respect that. I'm just saying, we all make choices, right? Your choice is that you want to protect the date, your wife, what time you got married. You also have to respect the fact that if people feel like you're giving a timeline up until that point, but you won't even give us even a time period that you got married, that people also have the right to assume that there was there's some overlap. It's not right, especially because on the show she said, and you had a girlfriend the whole time.
All right. So again, we're doing a recap of the show. And the show was aired in 2024. And going back to the whole girlfriend thing, I could tell you this with confidence. In fact, you could ask Lauren, or you could ask Donna. When I was dating Dominique, she said with her chest that I know Belo ain't talking to nobody. Nobody. And there was an instance where Lauren inferred that I reached out to her at some point, and Dominique, and she inferred that to Donna. And Dominique didn't even need to ask me anything. And she's like, I know Belo, that's not Belo. And she still talked to me and told me as like an anecdote, like, hey, can you believe that these ladies were saying X? She's like, I don't believe shit. You can grab Dominique you guys can interview her and ask her if she feels that I was dating somebody throughout the time.
Lauren says lies. And to be fair, I mean, asking Dominique now, who says that she had a poor judge of character and that you were lying and scamming and taking money.
She's mad because we broke up. She's mad because we broke up and she didn't know why. And that's part of the thing. Right now, this recording is probably the first time that she's been given context, because I didn't want to negotiate my emotions and my feelings. I literally told her, I don't feel like we're moving. I don't see a forever, and I want to release you. And I think you're an amazing person, but I don't see this moving in the direction that I need it to be moving in. And that's where I'm at. That's literally how I ended it. And the reason why, and part of the reason why she's so angry and she's so aggressive is because she doesn't know why I made that decision. When she watches this, she'll see. But I hadn't given her any context because I didn't want to be fighting over emotions or trying to, as you would say, bring in the attorney or the lawyer in you, right? I didn't want to do that. I'm just like, look, like, I want to have a clean break. This ain't working. I'm out. That's it.
So with that, here's the thing. I think we all can understand the disconnect, right? Somehow JR is big and he should not be. Okay, there we go. I think we all can understand the disconnect, the separate, the religion aspect, the fact that you want kids and she always was questionable about that. I think again where it seems like there was some ill intent is the fact that everyone could kind of see that you guys weren't aligned from the beginning, but you guys seems very steadfast on making it work, almost as if it was a business relationship. And then when the business relationship didn't work out, whatever you guys were trying to do, you were trying to promote her, you wanted her to support you, you even looked into the investment from the brother, then that didn't work. You cut her off on Christmas Eve.
What?
But my question to you is, what did you see? Because for me, I saw a woman that didn't seem aligned with you. She appeared to have a bad attitude. She was even rude to Lauren. She bullied Shannon out of a room just to sleep with you at the cabin. She gave kind of like basketball wife, things like that. Nothing that it seemed like a man of your stature, a man that's self-made, a man that has his own money, right? Never giving broke. Just trying to figure out, what did you see in her that all of a sudden, December 24th, you're like, no more. I don't want her no more.
You know what? She has a lot of redeeming qualities. I feel like Dominique, and she does put on a front. Like one thing, okay, so the qualities that I saw in her was she's very family oriented. Very, very, very family oriented. Her and her daughters, they rock together. They go out together. Her sister and her are like inseparable. She's really close with her mother. She respects her father. They have a great tight family unit. She goes to parties and clubs with her daughter and the boyfriend. We did a Halloween party at her daughter's boyfriend's house with all of the, like, keep in mind, they're 25, Dominique's in her 40s. I'm not going to disclose her age, but whatever. She's very family oriented. She gave off being submissive. She gave off being very respectful with me, right? So when I spoke with my brother's like, yo, she's aggressive. She's ready to bite people's heads off. He's like, you got to worry about her. And I'm like, yo, I don't get that energy at all. So she purported being submissive. She purported being very respectful. She purported herself as, she is very family oriented. She fine, right? And those are the things that I saw. But a lot of, when you first meet somebody, you meet their representative. And as time moves on, the representative fades and you get to see who that person is. And I guess I was seeing what I wanted to see in her representative. But once that mask fell, I'm like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. This ain't it. And again, like just to give you context, the lying, like she literally lied to my face at the recap. She said, Belo, I can even show you pictures. You know what? I'm gonna send you these pictures. Okay. She hit me up. She still hits me up. She still, like, actually, you know what? I'm gonna show you something. This is funny. She still hits me up. Dominique, let me show you this real quick.
This is why I block exes.
Okay. Look at this. Look, this is December 9th, right? Hold on. Can you guys read this? Can you read that?
Thank you.
I'm in a relationship. I can't take calls at booty call hour.
Yeah, that's it. She messaged me at 12:46.
Maybe she was
LOL,
an
what?
emergency.
You were calling her?
No, she called me. That's me. I'm blue. And
You're
that, yeah.
saying I'm in a relationship. I can't take
Yes,
calls
yes.
at booty call hour.
This is December 9th, 2025.
Hold on, you saw it.
Absolutely right.
Hold
Absolutely
on,
right.
hold on, let me show you. I'll show it to you. Hold on a sec. How do I
Can't take booty calls, man. Now.
Yeah. So that is December 9th. Actually, let me go details. I'll show you the details of the text message. Hold on one sec. Look at it. Look at the date.
Yeah, 2025.
Okay. So she hit me up and I'm like, yo, like, please stop this. You're going to get me in trouble. Right. So, and it was
Get out of the screen.
I'm part of the thing, part of the mean girl energy. Part of the mean girl energy that kept showing up was she'd be like, hey, Belo, let's take a picture. And then I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. We'll take a picture for the show, whatever. She would jump on my lap and do a selfie and then post. And she's like, I'm not going to post that. I swear, I promise I'm not going to post that. And then she would post it. And then she'd be, take it. I could show. I'm actually, my wife had saved all of these stories that she did. She'll after we done broke up, we haven't talked in a year. The show's long done. She's posting pictures with me like this close, like doing all that. And I'm like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And so anyways, so she literally apologized to me one-on-one. Hey, Belo, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have attacked you like that. I was wrong. And then on T and the D, Ina said, do you feel like you owe Belo an apology? All this broke shit, all this stuff. And she's like, no. And she just started saying stand on business. She's like, I could buy $400 dinners and all this. And I'm just thinking to myself, girl, you work retail. Like, how much are you making? Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to purport that you're something you're not? Like, and I'll give you another example of something that I was like, come on, man. Going back to the brother, I only met him once. Her brother has another brother who, I don't know, I'm not going to get into their family stuff, but her brother employed the other brother full-time, paying him like $120 a year just to basically follow him around. And she's like, I don't even need to work. I could just work for my brother. And when I heard her say that, I felt sick to my stomach. I'm like, you would work, you go on salary for your brother? She's like, I don't want to do it, but if I like my work, I don't like the boss, and she's doing this and all, and she's telling me about all her office politics. And I'm like, when I think about Black excellence, when I think about building generational wealth, when I think about where I want the trajectory I want to go, I can't have my wife working for my brother-in-law. That's just not it. And that's
wait, Belo, why did you believe, just understanding that you could get a construction loan from her brother when his sister is working in retail? Like, was that not a red flag?
That's a really good. Okay, I'll explain it to you. So, and again, I don't know if this is true, but she said my brother's worth like $50 million. He does all his business here and there. And when I met him, he was driving a Rolls Royce, right? He pulled up with a Rolls Royce, right? And I we were talking, and he said, Belo, he said straight up to me, and he gave me some good, he put me on game. He said, bro, you know the problem that you made? And I'm like, what's up? With your development? He's like, you got to put a white face in front of your development, get all the approvals, get your construction loans, get a white face in front of you, and pop out when it's done. He's like, that's what I did. He's like, the thing is, you're Nigerian, and you see black people doing things in Nigeria, and you're used to that. But here in North America, you gotta put a white face in front of you and pop out. And when I thought about it, I did go through a lot of hardship trying to get approvals. I went through a lot of red tape to get my projects approved. And then when I got the approvals, I had problems with funding when, like, I had 35% down. Anyways, so when he told me that, I'm like, okay, bet. You know what? This is good. This is good advice. I'm gonna try and put somebody else in front. I don't gotta be the face. I don't have to be the face, But anyways, going to the whole brother situation, she told me that he was paid and he knows people that are working in Brampton. And Brampton is like GTA, Greater Toronto Area. And I felt like, okay, maybe he can connect me with somebody. And again, it's not difficult. If you own land and I'm asking for a 50% loan on land for a construction loan, people who are in the real estate space understand 35 to 50% down is not hard to get a loan. That's strong security. If I mess up, they take in my land. I had land I bought for $3 million. It was worth 10. And I was asking for a $5 million loan. I'm asking for a mortgage.
I think the question I was asking was, if he couldn't even help his sister, why did you believe that he was going to be able to assist you?
Again, that goes to family dynamics, and that goes to the way that they think. So the way her brother is the way he thinks is that if Dominique is with a boyfriend, if she has a boyfriend, the boyfriend should provide and take care of all of her finances. When she's single, he holds her down. When she's in a relationship, she's on her own. When she was with the NBA player, O'Shawn Leonard, he took care of it. When she was with, what it was called, Anthony, I don't remember his last name. When she was with that person, that person took care of the finances. So her brother has a rule that if you got a man, you're on your own. Get him to take care of your stuff. Why am I taking care of another man's responsibility? That man should take care of you. That's why the brother, when she's dating somebody, kind of has her on her own line. And that's a fact.
Okay, well, I'm gonna yield. I think you're beating some of the allegations, not all of them, because honestly, it seemed like you like Lauren more than you like Dominique. I'm still not even really understanding why Dominique was the route that you went when it seemed like you actually like Lauren more.
You know what? The problem is that with Lauren didn't give me what's the word? Lauren, she wasn't consistent at all. Like, just to give you context, the first mixer, the first time we sat down, we talked, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you have any kids? You got this, you got that? I'm like, yeah, I have a daughter. And she's like, okay, how old is your daughter? And at the time, my daughter was like 9 months. And she's like, you got a 9-month-old? And I explained the situation. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to go talk to some other people. She literally ended the conversation with, I'm going to go talk to some other people. I was just sitting there. She just got up. And then I was like, okay, bet. So at the end of the night, everyone's exchanging numbers. I didn't know we could exchange numbers. I've never been in this process. I thought everything had to be on camera. I didn't know. I actually wanted to go get her number. And then she had already left, and it was all good. Now I'm like, yo, she dismissed me. I'm not pursuing. Then when we had the roller skating, she rolled up on me and she's like, hey, Belo, you know, I'm feeling you. And I'm like, how are you? And she's like, I don't know why you haven't approached me. I'm like, you dismissed me. On the first mixer, you dismissed me. You heard I had a daughter and you just dipped. How am I supposed to think that that's an invitation? She's like, oh, you know what? I was wrong. I felt like, hey, she's like, I said it abruptly because I said what I was thinking in that moment. It wasn't to dismiss you. And I'm like, okay, right? And then every date I went on, the women were saying that Lauren was sneak dissing me, saying Belo's a red flag because Belo has a daughter. Belo has this. So all of the women would come up to me and ask me questions about stuff that Lauren was saying about me. So now I'm talking to Ashley, and Ashley's like, so tell me, do you have a daughter? And I didn't have that conversation with Ashley. So I was like, okay, shoot. And she's like, some of the ladies. I'm like, let me guess. So then I tell Ashley, then Ashanti comes to me and says, hey, you know, this and that. So a lot of the conversations I was having with Lauren were getting out to the other women, and the other women were checking me. So when I'm getting checked by everybody from conversations that I have with Lauren in confidence, I'm like, okay, she's talking, right? And then she comes back and she's like, I'm feeling you. And I'm just like, hold on. And the girls were saying that she was calling me a red flag. So I'm just like, I don't understand what is going on. So now she disappeared, calls me a red flag, disappears, dismisses me, says, I'm feeling you, I'll talk to you. And then we're talking, everything's cool. And then she disappears, comes back again. And I told her in that, Lauren's saying, give us an example. One example was she told the ladies that I'm a red flag because she felt like my timelines didn't add up with the baby situation. And then all the girls came and asked me a bunch of questions about the baby. Then I'm trying to think of, then when it came with her girls, her friends or whatever, she said that her girls were all saying that I came off like a politician and I didn't answer questions and blah, 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 and whatever, you know? So there was just a bunch of, and go ahead.
Well, Belo, I mean, and how you doing? Welcome to the channel. You know, and again, these aren't the easiest things to do sometimes, so we're trying to give you some grace. Mm-hmm. But what I want to kind of go around to, because I think what's happened a bit is that when we ask you a little bit of tough questions, you kind of start spilling other people's tea. So I would like to know. And this is a question I ask everybody. I asked Lauren when she was on here last week, like, if you could just think about you, like, what are some things that you could have done better in this process? Like, what did you learn? Like, what are some of the missteps you made? Because we've seen some, you may disagree. So I would just love to know, like, from a self-reflective place, like, what did you see and learn?
Well, a couple things is I feel like I locked in a little too early. And not only did I lock in a little too early, I feel like I was trying to be open to other connections, right? But I feel like I didn't give other connections the attention and the attention, and basically I didn't give other connections the same level of energy and effort that I did with Dom. And that's just, I don't know, I'm a serial monogamous. I go from a relationship all in, I drop, I go into relationship all in, I drop, I go into relationship all in. So the whole juggling thing is a little bit difficult for me. And outside of that, I feel like I should have elaborated more. And similar to what you just said, when I'm speaking, I'm very, I'm thinking of the word. I'm very fluid when I'm speaking. So one conversation could go into another, So sometimes the message that I want to get out is not as clear. And with production, they weren't able to get the full story of a lot of things, right? So I feel like that, I feel like I need to be more concise in my communication. I feel like I should have given more effort and energy to other connections. I should have locked in as early as I locked in. And
no, I love that. And I appreciate you for getting right to it and taking, that somewhat difficult question. So when you're thinking about who else would you have wanted to spend more time with on the cast? If, obviously you're married now, so no disrespect to your wife, but when you were in the process.
You know what? To be honest, when I think about it, it would have been Lauren or Ashanti. And the reason I say that is because if I'm thinking about building a legacy and building generational wealth for my family and somebody who's evenly yoked, Lauren is also in real estate. Lauren is a go-getter. She's articulate. She's well spoken, and I feel like she's a great woman. And I feel like I did lock in a little bit early, and I didn't give her the same energy that I gave Dominique, right? And so that, and Ashanti, I'm an avid reader. I read a book every 2 months, and I feel with Ashanti, we had a lot in common. And Ashanti's also an entrepreneur. She's somebody who she gets it. She understands being commission to commission. She understands work ethic. She understands the requisite skills to be successful. So I feel like Ashanti's really cool. And I feel like by the time I got to even have our first conversation with Ashanti, we were like episode 4, episode 5, right? So I feel like those are the two people that I probably would have been most aligned with.
Last question I'm going to ask you. It seemed like there was kind of like a thing, and we as the viewers kind of saw like Lauren being targeted. Now, we love Lauren here, but she also had a way of being in the mix of everything. But there were instances where it just seemed like people were just throwing her name out there. The reunion, Ashley threw her name out there. We saw instances where Dom seemed to go back and forth with her in the ladies' lounge unnecessarily, or when you were meeting with the family. Like, did you get a sense of that? Like, was there something? Was there some issue with the ladies and Lauren? Were you hearing that, or it's curious.
You know what? To be honest, I feel like with Lauren, I feel the reason is it's a lot of posturing. I feel like she did a lot of posturing, and she's a slow burn. She's a slow burn, and things were moving a lot more faster than the pace that she's used to. And that's number one. And in terms of the ladies, again, if you're saying somebody's a red flag and then you're saying they're your top connection, you seem kind of wishy-washy, right? And the same thing, if a guy calls you a B and then suddenly like he's your top connection, seems kind of wishy-washy. And a lot of the things that she said, a lot of the things that she was doing we're not fluid, right? Like a small example. She said she had 1.5 boyfriends. How's that a thing? How do you have 1.5 boyfriends? I don't get it. And in terms of the Dominique and that kind of thing, like, and this is just me just observing. Shannon really liked Steve. Shannon was about Steve. She talked to me and asked me for my advice on how to approach Steve. She asked Darius. She was really about Steve, right? And then Lauren pursued Steve. Shannon got kicked off, who I would say was probably like the most committed to him, got kicked off because of Lauren, and then Lauren ends up kicking off Steve because it ain't that deep with him. It's like, what? One person is like loving on this guy, ready to do anything for the dude, and then you're like, oh, that's nice. I'll take that. Oh, I'm not feeling that. You know, like, so.
Now, Belo, you are in the men's lounge, and the women's lounge works the same way. I mean, Lauren can't single-handedly get rid of one person. He has to not have enough women vying for him just the same way, you know, she would be staying on because there's enough men vying for her. I want to assume you had her in your top. Like, so I think you're throwing us just a little bit because you said you liked her. She's somebody that during the process you want to spend more time with. And now it's like, you know, so we wanted your story to track, and it's going off the track because you're like praising her and now you're throwing her under the bus. I mean, I think there's a way to give feedback and say, hey, listen, these are some things I think she could have done better. But like, it's like,
all right, so
throwing her under the bus.
I'll be concise. I'll be concise. I feel that she, you know what? I can't say it any other way. I feel like she was two-faced. I can't say it any other way. She would say one thing, she would be a different way with that person. She would say one thing, she'd be a different way with that person. And that threw off a lot of people. There's no other way. Like, I'm trying to be as concise as possible. She was two-faced. I know she's on the podcast, but I'm just being honest. She'd say she's feeling me saying I'm a red flag. She'd say that she's mad at Vince, then he's her top connection. She say that, you know, she's rocking with Steve, then she kicks Steve off, right? Like, there's a lot of, right? And the thing is, with the ladies, they're legitimately pursuing these connections. They're legitimately in this process. I don't feel like Lauren was legitimately pursuing anybody. Like, she could say that I don't feel like she was legitimately pursuing anybody. I feel like she was somebody who was, desirable, and a lot of people wanted to make a connection with her, but I don't feel like she had any, she was invested in any of those connections. And what's very telling is a conversation that we had. She said to me, she's like, Belo, I need to be number one connection for whoever I'm talking to. And I was like, okay, but I'm not your number one connection. She's like, that doesn't matter. And that's that was her perspective, right? So she wants to be the top in everybody's mind, but she didn't have to give that energy back. That doesn't seem like somebody who's committed to anybody or in that process, to be straightforward.
Understood. I'm getting where you're coming from. Okay. Obviously, you know, within that aspect, obviously you had that situation with Lauren and Dominique, where Lauren came to the date at the very end with your brother, and, you know, Dominique kind of, you know, shut down Lauren a little bit as well. In that instance, you kind of didn't give a straightforward answer again. So I'm going to ask two questions. The first one is, I'll put it black and white. Either, from my perspective, it sounds like, from how I'm seeing it, is either you're doing dark arts which is that you are intentionally sidestepping questions in a way that you're answering it, but not all the way answering it. Or there's another aspect, which is, and this is me being all the way respectful. Have you ever done a test for ADHD? I'm serious, bro. I said I'm saying that because because the last few seasons I interviewed, especially the men, a couple of seasons back beforehand, they have a way of spiraling into other stories, and I always thought maybe it's manipulative, but actually I realized that this actually also has a form of someone calls it neurospicy, but it's like, have you ever looked into that? Because otherwise, the other aspect I'm thinking is you're trying to manipulate me because you're not actually answering the question by diverting into other topics. You know what I mean?
You know what? My mind goes a mile a minute. And sometimes I'm often thinking about the optics and how what I'm saying is going to land. So for example, with the Two-Face comment, I didn't want to insult her, and my intention is not to insult her, Lauren, but I couldn't think of a concise way of saying it, right? And so now going to the whole conversation with Dominique and Lauren, was I being manipulative? No, I was put in a high pressure situation. I, from the beginning, chose Dominique, and I was trying to be open to the possibility of talking to Lauren. Lauren has been wish-washy with me the whole season, but she's like, yo, I rock with you. So I'm like, okay, let me try and see where this is going. But now she put, like, let's say that we're building, let's say that we're establishing we're establishing a connection. I'm 100 of the way with Dominique, and I've only established maybe 40 or 60 with Lauren, and Lauren's saying, who do you choose? And I'm like, I don't have enough data. I literally don't have enough data. I don't have enough information. We haven't talked that much. We haven't spent that much time. So it was like, I'm sitting on camera in front of my strongest connection and my second strongest connection, which I don't have enough data on. I don't know enough. And she's like, do you want to pursue this? And I'm like, damn, like, right? I was buffering. So part of the reason why I didn't answer the question was because I didn't want to insult Dominique and what we had fostered. And I didn't want to dismiss Lauren, who I was open to a possibility with. So I was buffering because I'm like, what do? If I say, yes, I want to pursue this, Dominique's going to be like, I know you lying, right? And then at the same time, if I say that, no, Lauren, I don't want to do that, I would be lying. So I was put in a very weird situation on the spot in front of the two ladies. And if this was like, you know, if I was talking directly with Lauren, like, I wouldn't have to think about what Dominique and how she's going to perceive what I'm saying. If I was talking directly with Dominique, I wouldn't have to perceive what Lauren is saying. Now I'm managing two sets of emotions. And I have to articulate that. So was I being manipulative? No, I was trying my best to articulate myself and not diminish my connection with both of my connections.
So I know you can't say production or things like that, you know, with the contract, but would you say overall you felt pressure, whether it be internally from Dom or just in general, to be with her and really lock things in with her?
No, that production didn't really have anything to do. Actually, production told me to be open. Like, you gotta be open, bro. Like, you're so like.
So why didn't you?
I feel like it was a little bit late. That conversation I had with production was at the cabin. The cabin is where they're like, yo, bro, you don't gotta lock in. And I'm thinking to myself, hold on. So we're all in a cabin together, and I'm not supposed to have locked in with anybody. Okay. That's interesting, right? So
what'd you think about that room situation where Shannon got the boot and packed up?
I think that was like a big sister, little sister situation. You got to remember that me and Shannon and Dominic, you guys may not have known this, but we drove almost 2 hours together up to the cabin, and we were talking, expressing like pleasantries. We were rocking together for 2 hours in a car. I was driving a car. So now when we get there, production's like, pick a room. And Dominic was like, I want, Shannon's like, I want this room. Dominic's like, I want that room. Right. And one of the things that is a little bit, something that you guys won't know is that production told the men that we can't stay in a room with the ladies. So I was in a room with me, Darius, and Cardi. I was in a room, me, Darius, and Cardi. So when we first walked in, think about it. That's pressure. Imagine a man says, yo, let's take this room together. That's putting pressure on the women, right? So we were told day one, the first day of the cabin, men and women are separated. So that whole bag situation, Lauren caught wind of that before I did. Lauren's like, yo, why is your bag in front of Dominique's room? I'm like, what? And she's like, she took your bag and put it in front of her room. I'm like, I didn't even know that. Like, I put my bag at the front door. And then later on, like, I'm like, yo, like, we're not even supposed to be in the same room. All right?
So was that the conversation? Is what you just mentioned? What's the because Lauren says there's a conversation that you two had around the cabin and the room situation.
Oh, Lawrence. Okay. So Lauren said that, and again, this is a little bit late to the party, but Lauren said, hey, when we had the conversation, she's like, hey, I noticed that Dominique took your bag and put it next to her room. I'm like, I didn't even know. And she's like, well, if you're going to, she's like, well, if you're my connection and you're pursuing a connection with me, you can't bunk in a room with another connection. She said that.
That's it?
Say that again?
What you mean?
Generally, say that again. I think I heard, but I didn't hear.
Lauren set me aside when Dominique took my bag and put it at her room, and she said, "If you're," she said, "none of my connections could be in a room with another lady." Okay. She said that.
And so, no, I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna pause.
What did you say? And what did you say to her in response to that?
You know what? For me, I was more responding to the bag situation. I'm like, bro, I didn't even know that happened. I just got in. Like, literally, we walked into the building. I set my bag down, and Laura's like, hey, I want to talk to you. Let me chop it up for a minute. I'm like, okay. We started talking, and she's like, I want you to know that if you're my connection, you can't sleep in no room with no other lady. And I'm like, oh, okay. Why are you saying that? She's like, well, your bag was just moved into Dominique's room. And I'm like, I didn't even know that. So I was more responding to the fact that I didn't know that had happened. And that was the conversation that we had. The rest of the conversation escapes me. This is a long time ago. I don't remember the rest.
Did you tell her?
Did you say you're staying in the room or not?
Yeah.
Did you say you're going to stay in Dominique's room? That's the question. Did you tell Lauren that you're going to stay in Dominique's room?
No. No.
You said no.
Pardon?
You told Lauren no.
No. You said you were. Yeah, I did. That's true. I did that.
Oh, okay. Oh, you said you're not staying in her room. So
yeah.
You didn't stay in the room.
Oh. I didn't.
So to make sure there's congruency. Okay, cool. No, that makes sense. I get it. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying on that. Well, let me pass the buck to Elsie this far, because I know Elsie probably wants to ask some questions. If not, I don't know.
Thank you, Kojo. Hey, Belo.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I hear you have the sniffles, so I'll try to make this quick. So you were concerned about, we're talking about the show, about the lounge situation and Lauren talking in the lounge. What you said on the show that we saw was that she was assassinating your character
Uh-huh.
in the ladies' lounge.
Yeah.
But you brought that up in the men's lounge in front of Tommy, sharing what was clearly given to you from the ladies' lounge.
Yes.
So how is it? I'm trying to wrap my head around. You got confidence, a confidential ladies' lounge conversation, and you brought it into the men's lounge in front of Tommy.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out how that kind of jived and made sense, considering y'all aren't supposed to be sharing lounge information.
Well, I think I already answered that question, and the reason why I say that is because three of my connections came and asked me about questions that I had in confidence with Lauren. So if I only talk to Lauren about having a baby, and then 3 different ladies ask me about a baby, I know that she's talking about my baby in the lounge. That simple math, right?
It may not be in the lounge. It may be in group text, but I understand what you're saying. She for purposes, she may have told it to everybody in the one lounge setting. But again, what I'm saying is, in my mind, 2 wrongs don't make a right. If she's disclosing stuff in the lounge, I wouldn't be like, when I talk about it, I say Tommy should have checked it because lounge business is being shared.
Yeah.
But question also about the whole, I know you don't want to give a timeline, but I will ask, as of the filming date of the reunion, were you married?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for giving a straight answer on that much. Other than that, and I don't share everything. Concerning Dom and her brother and investors, and I have a bit of a background. Did you check if he was a certified investor at all? Because when you're dealing with that kind of property and that kind of money and that kind of bankroll, I only deal with certified investors. So did you check on that?
So I did not check on, I didn't check on her brother because her brother was never supposed to be my investor. It was supposed to be his connections that were investing in Brampton, who I never got to meet. And there was never an exchange of any conversation between them, right? Like Dom dangled a carrot and said, hey, I got all this, I know all this, and didn't do shit. She didn't do nothing. So I didn't need to vet the brother because I never was getting any funds from the brother. He was supposed to connect me with people who are already investing in Canada.
Understood. And I'm glad you used the analogy of a carrot. A carrot is one of those roots that, it grows underground and you don't know how, how can I say it? You don't know the depth and breadth of the carrot till you actually dig it up. And so even so, with as you said, the Rolodex of the brother, he may be connected. Again, you have been in business for yourself for quite a while. Taking advice from the brother, I would have certainly looked into his background and how his money was gathered, because you never know.
Yeah, you know what? And speaking to that, one of the things that one of the reasons why I didn't feel any apprehension in sharing my site plan, my plan of subdivision, my condominium, my plan of basically the reason I didn't have any issue sharing my details is because my land is 100% owned by me. I had no partners. Only my corporation was owning it. So whatever I sent out, I wasn't worried that somebody was going to circumvent me because I already owned the land. And I was seeking a loan for land that I already owned, already had approvals for. And I was just getting a mortgage for taking the property from servicing to construction.
I understand that, Belo, but also with land and investments and stuff like that, especially taking on investors, you've got to know those investors because they can tank your project. They can tank your lending, your borrowing capability.
Absolutely.
Their reputation becomes your reputation. So that's why I was asking my line of question. But Thank you so much.
Yeah, we didn't get to that point.
Right.
I never met them. I didn't get an email. I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get nothing. So
and that's why I find it interesting that you would share all of that of your portfolio information to people, especially if it's not, right before having an investment style meeting with them.
I sent it to my then girlfriend's brother, right?
And again, as someone with that type of wealth and that type of information, that then girlfriend has a lot of your financial information. While you do trust that person, what you have shared that you shared with her is a lot for a girlfriend and not a fiance to know of your financial information.
Yeah, you know what? And just to give context, because I agree with you, but just to give context, you got to remember that Dominique, her husband was a former NBA player, and Dominique she used to be the president of the NBA Wives Club. So all the NBA players, they were part of a wives club, and she had access to all of those people. She also, anyway, so I felt that when she said that I have a potential construction lender for you, I thought that based on her circle, that they would something would come of it.
Oh, okay, based on her access to her Rolodex. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to you and the missus. Kojo, whoever's next.
I don't know if JR has any questions, and you're the last one, JR.
Yeah, I have a few questions. What's happening, Belo? Hope you're well, bro.
I'm good. Hold on. You sound like you have a Caribbean accent in there.
Yeah, Jamaican descent, bro.
What part? What parish?
St. Elizabeth and Kingston.
I went to Ochi, and I went to St. Anne's 2021.
Okay. Nice place, bro. Nice place. I got family in Canada too, in Ontario.
That's
so I've been there. Okay, cool. Scarborough, Ontario.
Okay, so my mom lives in Markham. So Markham's about 15, 20 minutes from Scarborough.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, listen, I really enjoyed the season, and obviously your connection with Dominique, you locked in early. One of the questions I had is obviously with all the women that you had available to speak to, my thing was, first of all, with your faith and with your, I want to say what you're looking for in terms of having children or whatever, who did you think, and this is different to Sean's question, who did you think was most aligned with your purpose? Like, who did you think actually would fit you, even if you didn't have that romantic spark?
You know what? I feel like from a business standpoint, I would say Lauren, but from a ideology and way of thinking standpoint, family congruency standpoint, I would say Ashante.
Ashante, okay. And what made you not pursue Ashante more than Dominique?
It was like my relationship with Dominique was so mature that Ashante, and plus the other thing is that there's a lot of things that production doesn't catch, right? Like there was a point in time where it looked like everybody was locked in. And at one point in time, it looked like Ashante was locked in with Cardi, right? So, and keep in mind, me, Darius, and Cardi were all in the same cabin. So I'm respecting my dude, and he's respecting my relationship with Dom, right? So it was kind of like, oh, I'm feeling her, but I feel like my bro's talking to her, and they already have an established relationship, and he's respecting my established relationship, so I'm just going to fall back. Right?
Okay.
It's a little bit late to the party, that's all.
Right. Okay. Did you ever feel that Lauren or Ashanti could ever overtake Dominique in terms of being your top connection? Was there any point where you felt like, you know what, Lauren's looking good today, she, you know, the conversation's been right, or Ashanti, you know, she's been spending a lot of time making those phone conversations or whatever, I'm gonna have to move Dominique lower down?
That's a good question. I feel like there was like a small hint of that at when me and Lauren went to the when we were on the water,
on the boat.
Like, I would say out of all the dates, that was probably the most fun date I had in the experience. That was the most fun date I had in the experience. And we really, I'm kind of happy that some of the stuff we talked about didn't show up in production. We went in, like, we literally played Truth or Dare. There was a lot of conversations that we had. And again, like I said, my experience with Lauren was that it was wishy-washy. We have an amazing time, and then I didn't hear from her, and she didn't foster the connection. And it wasn't ever fluid. It wasn't ever fluid. So, you know, you're not gonna, when you have a relationship that is fluid and consistent, and then you have a relationship that's kind of like fair weather, you're going to focus on the consistency, right? So
I hear that.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to mention, I thought you were going to say it was the oxtails that won you over. But,
no, man. Okay, hold on. Okay, let me tell you this, okay? By the way, I am Nigerian, but I grew up around a lot of Jamaicans. I can speak Patois fluent. I speak about 5 languages. I speak Arabic, English, Patois, Yoruba, and a little bit of Hindi. So my Patois is, anyways, I can speak Patois. So now, it says life is real. JR. So JR, take it in. We had oxtail. All right? She boiled oxtail and put salt in the oxtail with no browning.
Oh, wow.
No browning, no oxtail seasoning, white rice, no rice and peas, bro. No plantain, no jerk.
So were you just being polite then when you complimented?
No, she did no festival, no dumpling, none of them something, bro. The oxtail, again, I was protecting her. The oxtail was not on point, my G.
Not you protecting her from her oxtail recipe.
Wait a minute. So Chris lying. So Chris is lying.
Not on point, my G.
So the chef Chris is lying.
You get me? Whoa. Oh my God.
Well, look, bro.
Yeah, listen, man.
Off the bone.
Let me tell you something, because you said that you have family in and I'm switching up. You can hear the accent a little bit, but anyway, you told me you have family in Scarborough. Take this. One of my brethren, one of my close friends. His name is Oxtail God. All right. He lived next door to me, Marlon Melville. Okay. This guy, his name is Oxtail God. All right. So if I grew up living next door to a man named Oxtail God, do you think I know a little bit about oxtail?
For real.
Every Sunday I had boiled plantain. No, I had boiled plantain. I had boiled dumpling. We had oxtail, rice and peas, jerk chicken. I had so much Caribbean food. I know Caribbean food like the back of my hand, and I can tell you unequivocally the oxtail was not nice, and I was being very, very
Well,
censored.
that didn't stop you from
Okay.
sopping up other things, Bello.
You did a good job of protecting her because you made it seem like those oxtails were finger licking good.
Oh, man.
You were like,
Yeah.
so, and I think she was very taken in by the fact that you received that gesture so well.
I said A for effort because the thing is, she had, and going back to it, she's never cooked oxtail ever. That was the first time. So she got the oxtail, cooked the oxtail for the first time, and she just Googled it and did a thing, you know. So that's
okay.
what happened. So it's not. I'm not holding that to her in terms of her ability to cook. She can cook, but
okay.
the oxtail was not on point.
Talking about first times, because when you arrived at the house, was that the first time you guys locked lips? Was that the first kiss you had? Without meaning to pry too much.
No.
Okay. So had you been to a house before? The actual dinner date? Okay. Because you look like you were fairly comfortable. You were met with a drink and a kiss before you went upstairs. So that's why I thought I'd ask. Okay, cool. Just moving on to the retreat. Did you feel like Lauren was justified in saying to you, if you spend the night with Dominique, then that's going to be trouble for our connection? Like, was there anything in you that said, we don't have a connection? Or, you know, where was your head at when she put that to you?
Well, you know what? I had privy information, right? So I already knew that we weren't going to be bunking anyway, because production said the men are not going to be bunking with the ladies, right? So it's not even my decision, right? At that point. And I was legitimately like, I was legitimately pursuing Dominique, but I was open to other connections. And Lauren was at that point my strongest, my other strongest connection, right? So like I was trying to maneuver, but again, in the cabin, Lauren wasn't like, I guess the more that I showed affection to Dominique, the further my interactions with Lauren became, right? So the only time that we really interacted in those 3 days was the conversation we had about the bag and the conversation we had where Dominique was like peering over her shoulder. And that was,
okay.
You know.
And did you begin to sense like a little rivalry beginning to, like a little competition taking place between Dominique and Lauren for your time and attention? As in, like, do you feel that they were trying to one up each other, trying to get your attention?
You know what? I feel like they were trying to one up each other just to one up each other. I don't think it was only for my attention, to be honest. And that's me being like just real about that. I feel like when a dude has a nice girl on his arm, and then a girl sees that, and a girl's like, yo, let me test that. Let me see if I still got it. Let me see if this dude is gonna give me play. I felt that type of energy. I didn't feel like I really like Tosin and we're both fighting over Tosin. I feel like Dominique was focused on me, and I feel like Lauren was more I feel like Lauren was like, hey, you know what? Let's see if I can pick this one off. That's how I feel.
Right.
And that's
right.
why I didn't get to that.
Okay. And I'll wrap it up. You know, I don't mean to come across like I'm interrogating, but there are just some questions I have from watching the show. So I'm going to fast forward all the way to the reunion. You look genuinely surprised with Dominique's recollection of how your connection and your relationship went, and then also how you guys finished. Now she did, open the can and really go in on you. Did you manage to come to a resolution afterwards that meant you both maintained like a civil space around each other? Because I've seen you on T and the D and a few other things. So are you guys cool now? Did you actually make up after the breakup? Or is there beef and animosity still?
You know what? I felt when she apologized to me, we made up and we were good. But then when I felt that in public, she was like, I ain't got nothing to apologize, when she was bold-faced, lying in front of a whole heap of people, we ain't cool. I'll be civil. If we have a photo op, I'll take a photo op. But if I get a phone call, I'm not taking that call. If she's going to hit me up to do anything, I'm not maintaining that relationship at all.
Right. Okay. And is that the same? Is that the same with Lauren as well?
You know what? To be honest, I don't have any problem with Lauren. I don't have any problem with Lauren. I actually, I respect her hustle, and I think that Lauren she's been very, very clever in her branding and everything she's doing in real estate. And I respect Lauren. I have and in terms of the experience, I don't feel like we've had any divisive conversation or interactions. Hey, it's all fair in love in love and war, right? So with Lauren, I think she's cool. And maybe at some point in time, I do a development. She could do some pre-construction sales. If there's some networking events or something, I would rock with her. She's cool. She's cool in my books.
Right. Okay. One complete last unrelated question. Did Vince and Darius ever look like they were going to come to blows other than what we saw towards the end of the season?
No, that was the only one time. And I was surprised. I was very surprised. Yeah, I was very surprised. I was very surprised that it escalated to that point. And I think it's just, what do you do when a dude is talking to your girl behind your back and it's not even a connection of his, right? Like, and Vince was doing a lot of sneak dissing to Darius the whole time, just nipping at him. And I'm surprised that didn't happen sooner in the experience,
right?
To be honest.
Okay.
So when it happened, I was like, okay, that's expected. But I thought it was just them like yapping at each other. If I didn't step in, I'm very confident that they would have traded blows. And the funny part about that was the first time in the entire experience that I was like, damn, where's security? There was no security. There was none of that. So
okay. All right, well, thank you for answering my questions, bro. And hopefully we catch up. Hopefully you come and do an interview with me sometime as well. Still.
All right.
Not trying to poach, but yeah, it would be interesting to have a chat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
All right.
All right.
Well, Belo, listen, last leg of the questions, right? This is just to tie everything together now. Less about the show, but still about the show, but more about you personally. So with everything that you've answered, there's been some interesting behaviors that I've observed in terms of the answers and what you've given. So the first one I'm going to ask this question, I want to understand where it's coming from, right? So my questions are more about the why things are actually happening. In several instances, number one, you said about Dominique cooking weren't that great. You didn't tell her that at the time. Well, at least we didn't hear that you told her at the time, but you're telling us now. Fair enough. With the Lauren and the Dominique situation, you didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so you kind of didn't tell the truth in that aspect. There seems to be a lot of passive behavior here, in essence of telling the truth that you may feel that it may hurt someone's feelings. I want to understand, where does this come from? Where did you observe this particular behavior? Is it something that happened? And I link a lot of things to childhood. So is it something that happened in childhood? What is it as to why, Bella, you're not as direct as you are when it comes to business? Because in business, it sounds like you're very in terms of what you're looking for, what you're trying to do. But in terms of relationship, there's a lot more passiveness in how you're dealing with women. And it's costing us a little bit of trouble in that particular aspect as well. So I want to know, where does that come from?
I think there's a lot of things. Number one being that I grew up in a single parent family, right? My mother raised me predominantly, and I grew up with my sister, was the oldest sister. I grew up with my grandma, my mother, my sister, my auntie, a lot of them, right? So and then my brother's 13 years. Oh no, sorry, my brother's 11 years younger than me, right? So from 0 to 11, it was just me full of women, right? And then my uncles, my mother is a beast, by the way. My mother actually brought about 6 family members. She sponsored 6 family members into Canada. So my uncles ended up coming and whatnot. So anyways, going to your question, I grew up around a lot of women. When you're dealing with men, there's the bravado, there's the aggression. I used to have a temper when I was a kid, and I've been expelled for fighting in school more than once. So I had to really learn to pause and articulate myself, because if I'm talking to my mother, talking to my sister, I could beat down somebody at school, but when I get home, I'm in a house full of glass. So going from being aggressive, playing basketball, playing football, getting into fights, doing all that, and then coming home and having to really articulate myself. And again, being African, when I'm speaking to my mother, I don't even look her in the eye. I have my head down. So the respect, the power dynamic has really helped me to cultivate, pause, and be very aware of how what I say lands and how it affects the people, and trying to do it in a respectful tone, because respect is a thing in Nigerian culture, right?
Absolutely.
Huge. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. It's interesting, because I think that as much as there's respect for us as men who grew up around women, I also think there is there's also a disparity that kind of happens for us as men. I don't know if you can speak to this. And I say that because there is an awareness of the world that we live in. It's a patriarchal world, right? That we are, as men, when we show up in the world, we are the dominant force, right? So in the household, you're not the dominant force, because you have a mom and sister who are older than you, and you are pushed to be more respectful. But like you said, of course, within that space, you have to change the way you operate, right? And I'm wondering, I guess, in this instance, what, if you don't mind answering, because I heard about mom, I heard about sister, I didn't hear about father, and maybe I misheard or whatever as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the relationship aspect with your father, and how you were influenced by the lack, or by the interactions that you may have had with your father, because I think that plays a massive point or role in the way that we as men are engineered.
Yeah, you know what? Just to be candid, my mother and my father split up when I was about 2 or 3.
Okay.
And my father did his PhD of Islamic law at University of Toronto, and then he left and went back to Nigeria. My mom did her business bachelor's, and she did accounting in Canada, and then they split. So they were in school. My dad was doing his master's, and my mom was doing her undergrad, and then my dad obviously continued and did his PhD and whatnot. But they split, and my father had been in my life from a distance. So I would see my father anywhere between once every other year, up to as much as 3 times a year. But my father, because he's written about 20 books on Islam, and he actually established in Scarborough a mosque. If you type in Isa Ade Belo founds a mosque, you'll see that in Scarborough, where JR is from. So my dad, because he was very a huge advocate of me learning the religion, and when it came to being fatherly, like even though my father's all the way in Nigeria, you know, if I got in trouble with my schooling or if I got into a fight, I get a tongue lashing from my father, and you know, I'm auditory. I was taught to be auditory. I think that's because of the respect I have for my father. So words really land heavily for me. And because words land heavily for me, I understand the power of the words, and I'm very aware of tonality, and how I say things and how they're supposed to land. So,
so I guess obviously, how then does, I know that obviously you may have had the auditory aspect in terms of the presence of a father, but how did it also impact you? Because you said you were fighting. So, well, how did it impact you as a young man growing up? So that people can really understand, because I think this plays a massive role for us as men, right? As men, we actually need other men. It's point blank, because there is nobody stronger than a man. You know, I don't want to belittle women or anything like that, but I'm saying that there is nobody stronger than a man. Like your mom, your sisters, your aunties, they are not stronger than a man. When a man decides he wants to do something, there's no one that can stop him except a fellow man. And even then, it's difficult. So I want to know the influence of not having the physical presence and how that impacted you, because you physically wasn't there, but auditorily he was. So how did that impact you? Because you mentioned keywords here. It's like being in a glass house, and I think that's very purposeful in the way that you've used those words, because I know you're a very smart man. You recognize that the words are they can easily cause destruction in that particular environment. So how did it affect you not having that physical presence growing up for you?
I don't feel like it affected me, to be honest. I you know, my mom did a great job, and I never felt lack of leadership in the household. I never felt lack of leadership. And one of the things that one of the reasons that I'm so big on personal development is because anytime I had to reflect, I reflected either inward or spiritually, right? So I guess it started with, okay, if I can't talk to mom, right, then I'm gonna read about it, right? I'm gonna read about it, and if I can't read about it, then I'm just gonna ask for divine guidance. So I feel like, and again, my relationship with my father was very surface level until I would say like university, late high school situation. So like when I became a man, I had more manly conversations with my father, but most of my adolescent years, I was I was raised by my mom. And again, I felt no lack of a father figure at all. None of that. I can't tell you what I'm missing because I've never felt that. I don't know.
So you never felt there was a gap in that physically, that no father was present. It physically, like, okay, let me give you an example. Who taught you how to? Okay, so, let's say for instance, can you ride a bike?
Yeah.
Who taught you how to ride a bike?
That's a damn good question. Myself.
Okay. Let's say.
Well,
okay, let's say. Go for it.
Yeah. So for example, the bike, I remember that I used to live in Rexdale at that time. Rexdale is an inner city ghetto in Philly. All my friends were riding a bike without the training wheels. My mom put the training wheels on, and I wanted to take them off. I fell a bunch of times. My mom was like, "You need the training wheels." So I kept on riding the bike as much as I could, so I could not wear the training wheels and not look like an idiot in front of my other friends. Right. So my sister didn't know how to ride the bike, so she couldn't teach me. But I taught myself, right? Other people and I did it in private. I would ride around an area, and I didn't want nobody to see me rocking training wheels, right? But that's what it is.
Okay, I get that. And the reason why I ask that is because, again, I also taught myself how to ride a bike, right? Although I had mum and dad in my life per se, but I recognize how that impacted me. And because you use certain words, you know, when you said about being in a glass house, that's very intentional, those words, right? Because that house is run by a woman, not by a man.
Yes.
I'm going somewhere with this on purpose because it does impact you as a man. right? Because the restraint that you have changes. See, as you know yourself as a man yourself, right? If you're in a household and there is a young boy in that household, you become the final box stop. That child now can use its strength and its aggression, and it can go to its father's region because you can handle it. Can't do that when you get to a certain age. As you get to like that, get to a certain age, you're now a danger. You're no longer seen as innocent. That's a robbery. That's what I said. So there has to be some level of impact for you because you can't be the at a young age as you're growing to develop and you're becoming strong, right? Mentally, physically, as you're learning how to become a man and your body's changing, right? You can't even enact all the aspects. That's why you're saying outside you could do the fighting indoors. That's why I'm wondering, like, how can there not be an impact of not having the father figure in the home physically that you haven't noticed? That's like, do you know what I mean? Like, was there never days where you thought to yourself, I wish he was there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I guess it's easy to know the impact of something when you have it and then you lose it. But if you've never had it, how would you know what you're missing out on, right? And then the other thing is, my mom did remarry, and she married. And that's where my brother came from, right? And I'm not trying to throw any shade, but my father was physically not there, and my stepfather was physically there, but not there at all. And to be honest, me and my wife actually talk about this. She says that I have been the man of the house from my adolescence. My mom has always treated me like a peer.
Yes.
My mom has always treated me like a peer. And she and the accountability that she placed on me was very early, very early. So it's kind of like, so if you're not, so I guess I didn't feel the lack of a father figure because I was that figure and trying to
that man. Yeah.
So and that's where the personal development and cultivating the mind and trying to and that's where the leading on the spiritual, because when you don't have answers, there's frustration, and when there's frustration, you need to seek and try and find. So it's either in words or in the word, right?
Yes. So thank you for even sharing that, because it's really helpful to understand something. And again, I talked to a lot of people about this as well. That what you encountered is, someone put in the chat, is parentification, and I talk about this a lot. Young men, young women, right, get parentified, right? So you've been put into a position of power and authority well before you're actually ready for it. Which in essence, what I'm saying to you is, at 6 years old, you're carrying 20 kg weights.
Yeah.
It's going to stunt your growth. So even though you're going to get some muscles, you're going to develop the body, there's parts of you that are going to be very immature. So emotionally, it's going to be very different from the Belo who can sort things out. I can guarantee that if I put Belo in a business situation, I'm saying, Belo, handle this for me, Belo's going to be like, even if he doesn't really know the whole situation, Belo going to figure it out, because that's where you've graduated, right? So in that space, you've graduated. You know it inside out. You can always, you can get into a situation and get back out of it. But emotionally, is why I'm picking up on it, is because the way that you handled the Lauren and the Dominique situation, several things were happening that I kind of picked up. Now, I know obviously partly it might have been businessy for you and Dominique, but the thing that it was very different from Dominique, from very Lauren, is what you said in the cabin. Dominique pursued you and Lauren did not. And when I say pursue, what I mean by that is Lauren never made it clear from the very jump that she desires you. And that is a turnoff. Because if you haven't got a father in your life, and I say it to the ladies too, they choose certain men on purpose. They don't recognize it, and they blame those men. They're the issue. The same way that when you're in your situation, you're going to be the issue. The issue here is that with Dominique met you at a place of desire that you were very mutual. You found her attractive, she found you attractive, and she was not shy to let you know she likes you. Now that is a very powerful thing, because the very absence of what you've had is somebody desiring you and wanting you. I'm not talking about your mum. I'm talking about the fact that your father isn't there. This leaves a gap. It leaves a physical gap. So what Dominique, her energy towards you was like, I want Belo and didn't. That is very secure and very consistent, and it makes one feel very, very safe. Lauren was playing the same game, where she goes, I'm not really sure if I like you. Well, she does like you, but she won't say it out loud straight away, because she's also protecting her heart. And you can't read that very well. That's not very safe. So you're not going to start jumping out of the water to go and get her.
You're
Now, I
right.
did this on purpose because the way you talk about Lauren, it sounds like it could have been more of Lauren, but because she didn't pursue, or at least when I say pursue is the wrong word, because she didn't show outwardly that she wants you, this then became an unsafe connection. It's like until she makes it very, very clear, 100%, it's very difficult then for you to trust that she actually likes you, which is understandable. But the part I'm really wanting to highlight towards the end of this whole situation is you're gonna be a very driven, ambitious man. You're gonna always succeed. This is a guarantee. Like you're gonna succeed, bro. Whatever you put your mind to, you will succeed. It's happening already. The part that I want to highlight for you, because of the magnitude of man that you are, your level is, the ceiling is very, very high. And with that, because of some of your, and I'm going to call it avoidance techniques, some of the things that you were talking about, the reason why you and Dominique really met is because both, and I'm going to say this, I'm saying it sharply so I can make it very clear what I mean by this. Both of you are actors. And what I mean by actors is you mask a lot of your true feelings about what's really going on, right? So when you and Dominique were getting together, she's playing a little bit of a game, but so are you. There's a mask, and the mask is vulnerability. The ability to be fully vulnerable and be fully yourself and not have no fear. Now, you may say to yourself, I am being fully me, but I can guarantee the fact that you're not even able to tell her that her cooking was sucking tells me you're not being fully yourself, right? So we can already see that's not you being fully yourself. If it had been a business proposal, you might have been able to tell the person, this sucks. But when it came to the relationship, this is what I said about the emotional maturity aspect, and I'm saying this because I'm growing in that area and I'm trying to be better in it. So I recognize what we're saying. So this is not a thing like, oh, I'm better than you. No. This is where we're all walking this journey together.
This is landing, by the way. I just want to let you know this is landing. This is landing.
Okay, thank you. I
A lot
appreciate
of
it.
what you're saying is resonating with me.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So within that aspect, like I said, the ceiling is very high for you. You're going to be very ambitious. You're going to hit so many goals. The fear I have for you is because you're going to be so high, if you're not aware of where your blind spots are, you may not cheat physically, but emotionally someone can get you. Because the blind spot is desire. If you don't heal that wound where it's like being wanted and being needed, if you don't heal that wound, there will always be someone who will get you from somewhere else. Now you're married, so you're fantastic. But if there is even and this is me talking to us men, because we have to go through these things, right? We get caught out because everyone thinks that we're brutes and we're evil and we just want to just cheat. That's not what happens. Men make emotional decisions, same as women do. And we have blind spots. So when you have not been desired as a kid the way you need to be, when people come in, someone like a Dominique is a vixen. I call her a siren. She will speak to your soul of desire. Like I said this on the show. They will vouch for me. There is no better than Dominique. I've not like on this show. I've not met anyone like Dominique. She can speak to your soul. Like it goes right through you and right to the inner core of you. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah,
how she makes you feel. And it's because she herself has felt invisible and she knows how to make you feel visible. So what I'm saying to you is this, as a cautionary, but also a growth aspect for you to also focus on, there is an impact of not having a father that's not present. It affects you in a way of being desired and being wanted. And it creates a hole somewhere. And then it pulls things towards you. So you cover up with the ambition and the career, but you always know that's why Dominique was so perfect for you, because actually she's a great compliment. She's everything that you're not. She's not a logical thinker like that. She's heart. You're more logical. She's more heart. But there's a part of you which is also heart. And that part of her where she's more heart speaks to you differently, bro. And as men, we need that. We need somebody who's going to speak life into you. Belo, you're going to need a woman that goes, Belo, do you know what? You can do it. Because no matter how much your father is away, if he's not present, he can't say that to your face. So those things that Dominique can do, oh, you're wonderful, you're great, you're amazing, you can go and do it. I'm relying on those things speak to you, man. They will always pull you in. But it's because there's a wound that's there, and then until we can begin to heal that, people like Dominique, there are people. I said there's no better than Dominique, but there'll be levels that you're going to with the money you're going to make, and I'm sure you're aware that these things are going to increase, and it will come out of left and right and center and everywhere you can imagine, because that's the part that is going to always be tested. So it's just me saying to you that right now it may not seem like there was something missing. I had a father and mother in the home, but like you said, with a stepfather, he wasn't as necessarily present. And the missing part of that is you have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
and that makes you a warrior. It makes you strong. It means you'll succeed. You achieve, but it makes it very hard to do teamwork. And you long for that, but you're also scared of actually opening yourself up emotionally to that, because if
Wow.
they disappoint you, this will kill you. It will hurt you more than a business proposal going wrong, because you can always make more money, but your heart can't always be mended the same way. And so disappointment and allowing someone to disappoint you, allowing someone to have a piece of your heart and trust in them, but that's another level. So I just
Wow.
wanted to share that with you, bro, just to say, like, bro, I see you and I respect the hustle, you know what I'm saying, Tune, and I appreciate you coming on here and sharing yourself and being open and vulnerable with what you've shared. You get what I'm saying?
You know what's really crazy? And I know this is gonna sound cheesy, but it's okay. So much of what you said is my experience. I do have I have trouble. I'm always the partner that people count on. I'm always the person that fixes the problem. But people, the moment that I'm on somebody's team, they're like, okay, Belo got this, and they disappear. And I'm left with everything. And I find that partnership has been very difficult for me. And I have ran solo, and a lot of partnerships that a lot of partnerships have been difficult for me, and I've done a lot of things on my own. That's why my development corporation is by itself. And what's crazy, and I'm just making a segue, and it's because of what you're saying. I'm going to share something with you. I'm writing a book. It has to do with real estate. And I sprinkled a little bit of Ready to Love in it because it's something recent. I'm going to share a chapter with you, and it speaks literally about my experience, rise and fall. Because one of the things that was really difficult for me is when Dominic was talking about my project being in disarray. Was fast forward 2026, I lost my project, and I have to rebuild. And one of the reasons why I was looking for an apology was because she was talking about, at that time, everything was on the up, and then fast forward, I lost a project and I'm rebuilding both projects. So when she was speaking on it, it was really painful, because somebody who I trust and I became vulnerable with, and I shared information with, and I was trying to figure something out that I was on an island pursuing, tried to put me on blast, which is crazy, especially in her position versus my position at that time and even now. But going to what you were saying, one of the things that I've resolved to do in 2026 is to do joint ventures, to collaborate with people, and to really look for and hone in and foster partnership, because I feel that I take complete ownership, and I've learned a lot from my rise and my fall. From my rise and my fall and my rebuild, and all of that I'm going to share with you in that chapter. It's just crazy that you are able to read so much about me from what you've observed. It's crazy. It's actually really crazy. And a lot of what you're talking about, again, going back to the research, I actually sat down with ChatGPT and went through like a whole structure and plan, and did the whole thing of how I can overcome my shortcomings. And what I found was that I need to do more collaboration, more joint ventures. I can't stand only by myself, and I can't lead everybody without having supports. Because they say, you want to build quick, do it yourself. Right? You want to go far, do it with a team. And I'm literally a living example of that. I went from owning a condo to building a condo development, buying a house to building a community, and then losing the community and starting again And one of the reasons why I developed Akibalon REIT was because I would buy something, invest, do it myself, build, rinse and repeat. But then I'm very, my resources are limited, and one of my superpowers is finding opportunities. So what I had to do, and what I've resolved to do in 2026, is to do more joint ventures, collaborate with people, find the opportunity, and have people collaborate from the beginning, rather than like hunt, gather, and do it myself, and then say, "Hey, come when it's done." And that's why I decided to create Akibalon REIT, which basically finds the funds first, then buys the asset, which is way easier than me bootstrapping and doing it all myself. Yeah, but yeah, man, you hit so many things on the nail, and I think that I want to have a further conversation with you about this. And again, going back to the I guess the blind sites for me, I feel like I don't see progress or benefit in looking at my past and saying, "Oh, I was lacking in this manner," because I can't do anything about that. I can't make my father come back and restart my past, right? I can only focus on where I am and take steps forward. So for me, I've always focused on what do I have and how can I build and cultivate what I have and do the best with what I have. And I'm still of that. Ideology. But what you brought to my attention is, sometimes you have to look at. Sometimes you don't see your shortcomings. And when you're not able to see your shortcomings, you're not able to plan to navigate that. And you hit a lot of things you said resonate with me, and I'd like to have a further conversation with you later.
I appreciate it. And I think it's a good note we can end on here, because I think this is always a positive when men can get to speak and just kind of share things. And it's funny, you said something that I need to start working on, which is collaborations, bro, because I can't collaborate.
Yeah, man.
I do everything myself. Like, this is as far as I can collaborate. The panelists know that I trust them. I trust Sean enough to start the channel, you know what I'm saying, to you, and start the live show and everything like that. But outside of this community, I find it hard to collaborate with people, and that's in everything. So you've given me a word to also kind of work on, because I know the Lord told me about this last year, but to struggle sometimes to trust, and open yourself up in that way. So I appreciate you sharing that information, because it's helped me as well to open me up in that space. So thank you for that. Okay, we're gonna bring it to a close, but I'm gonna let the deacon, which is above you, Sean. He's the deacon of the channel. We let him close us out on some final words. I know we didn't get to finish off the show, but the rest of the things we can do it on a Tuesday. You guys can go again. I'll set up another live so you can go again. But I would love to end on this note. So Sean, if you can give us just the closing kind of remarks and conclusion, and we'll sign out, and we'll be behind backstage. Go for it, Sean.
Yeah, so just shout out to all the panelists that joined us today. El Cid, Seaway, JR, appreciate, all you coming out. I know Jay was in the comments earlier. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us on the panel tonight. But, really good discussion. I know this was a long one, but, I hope that everybody took something away from these conversations. I think that's the great thing about this channel and this platform, is that we do have fun. We may, dabble in a little bit of tea and gossip and what have you, but at the end of the day, we are looking to get better, always looking for the lessons and the ways that we can learn how to love. And that's why we really do love the show Ready to Love. Shout out to you, Bello, for joining us. And, it was a firing squad.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely our pleasure. And we appreciate you, taking some of the heavy hitting questions that we posed to you tonight. One of the things that I like to do, and I've done it throughout the live, and Bella, maybe you haven't heard, but I always attach a song, or I like to attach a song, which wraps up the sentiment of what we're discussing. And there's two songs tonight. One for you, Bello. It is a very popular song that has been sampled, but I think it's apropos, not just for you, but for all of us in looking to get better in love. And it's I was told the true definition of a man was to never cry, work till you're tired, got to provide, always be the rock for my fam, protect them by all means, and give you the things that you need, baby. Our relationship is suffering, trying to give you what I never had. You say that I don't know how to love you, babe. Well, I say, show me the way. I keep my feelings deep inside. I channel them with my pride. I'm trying desperately. Baby, just work with me. Teach me how to love. And I think we all need to say these words, man and woman, to our respective partners, because true love is loving the person the way that they want to be loved. So we all need to be taught how to love by the person that we're in love with. So I think that is one of the greatest lessons. I think just recapping the whole entire season, I think one of the biggest lessons for all of us was don't ignore those red flags. They're not green, they're red, and they're red for a reason. Red means stop. And if you're feeling the stop, observe and acknowledge the stop. Don't keep going. Don't pass go. Stop and revert and go away from whatever it is that is sensing you to stop. Because so often when we don't stop, we run into an intersection, and in many instances, there's danger in that intersection. Sometimes we escape catastrophic danger, but sometimes we don't. So we don't want to put ourselves in harm's way, and we want to make sure that we pay attention to life's red flags. Next song that I want to play for us is or hear the lyrics, and this is in summary for all of us. If anything you know about this channel, we are rooted in Christ. We are rooted in God. That is where our belief system resides. And I think we believe that everything, there's a thread and a lesson and how we get better spiritually. So this song is Make Me Over. And I think as we make mistakes, which we all do, none of us are perfect. We need to be asking for renewal and a remake of our situations. So this, I'm just going to read a few of the lyrics and then I will close out. I can no longer hide. I let you down so many times. Sin freshly crucifies. Thought I had a plan. I had it all figured out. But the more that you tried to be by my side, the more I pushed you out. Lord, make me over. Make me over, Lord. Lord, make me over. Make me over again. Lord, make me over. And I think this rings true for all of us of all faiths, all of us that believe in a higher power. We are constantly looking to be remade and reevaluated and shaped and transformed. So if we want to be ready to love, if we want to love, we have to be willing to be changed, transformed, and learn and become anew. Back to you, Coach.
Thank you very much, Deacon. I appreciate that. Panelists, thank you so much. T-Way, JR, Sean, and Belo, thank you for coming through. And like Sean said, it is a bit of a firing squad. We asked you very direct questions, and you took it on the chin, and we appreciate that. Well, it's never easy, so thank you very much for that. Audience, for those of you who've been watching, we appreciate you. I hope you've learned some key lessons here. As always, we like to make sure that we're learning something. Ready to Love is one of our favorite shows. And we love it because I guess it rings true to a lot of some of the dating that we've seen either in the market or experienced ourselves or currently going through. But there's always a lesson we can learn ourselves. So I appreciate everybody here, and thank you very much for being involved with this show as well. We're on to the 4-hour mark at this point, but it's fantastic. And we will see you again very, very soon. I think, Sean, you're going to have to end it because I don't think I can see the button for end it. So if you could end the live for me, Sean. Sorry, because on my end, I don't see the end button. It's going to end in a second, guys.